Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. Hope everyone is doing well. I am very sorry. I apologize for not coming back on last night. Like I said, I was going to. It got late and I got super tired, so I do apologize. It's probably better that I do it when I'm not so tired. So again, I do apologize for that, but I'm here now and I appreciate you guys being here as well. Just want to say hello to you guys that are in chat so far. Hello, Purple. Very nice to see you again. I'm glad you're here. Callie, Shani, my love. Hey, Robbie. Hi, Hard Eyes. Hey, Jade. So I was going to originally do the open panel. Again, that I didn't do last night with the technical difficulties. I do think I have the sound issues fixed, hopefully. I don't know if I'm going to do the panel because I obviously went on YouTube today and saw that they were doing this press conference for Gabby Petito for her autopsy results. I know that Buddy says hello, and it might be kind of loud. I do have my window open, so I apologize for that. So you probably will hear some chicken noises. But it's such a beautiful day out, so I had to open the windows. Right on cue. All right. So I know that Melissa Jade and obviously a bunch of other true crime creators or channels have been covering this today, but I am going to cover it as well because it's important to the case and what's going on with all this fakery and just, in my opinion, with all due respect, just a complete and utter circus that this case is. So that's what we're going to be doing. And if we don't spend too much time on that, then I will try again to do the open panel and we can talk about whatever we want. Because like I said, hopefully the sound is fixed. Hey, Autumn. Hey, Swamp Lover. Hey, Nikki. I swear he doesn't. He'll crow during the day, but he likes to do it right when I start streaming. Hey, day by day. So I'll give it, a couple more minutes and wait for a few more people to get in here or to get here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I won't waste too much time. So when I play the news conference or this Zoom call or whatever it is, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to play it all through and then comment, but more than likely I will probably stop it when I have some sort of commentary that I want to chime in on, because I'll probably forget if I don't do that. So I do apologize ahead of time for the stop and go. Hey, McQueen, good to see you. Hey, Jen, I see you. Hey, Ashley. Swamp Lover, crack me up. Yeah, where is Kelsey, by the way? He should be here. Okay, Purple, no problem. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll just go ahead and get started. Um, I'm sure the majority of you have probably already seen this, but we're gonna watch it again. If you guys follow me or subscribe to me, you'll know that my streams are just a little bit different than the other true crime channels. I delve a little bit, maybe not deeper per se, but I point out different things in these cases, but the majority of you already know that. Nikki, I will try to get my contact information to you. I could just probably put my email in the chat. I think it should be in my about section on YouTube, but maybe it's like hidden. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but I'll try to get that to you. Just remind me if you can. Hey Jenny. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully there will be no buffering issues. I did download this ahead of time. I'm not going to worry about like any copyright claims or anything that Fox is going to try to give me, because little do they know, I'm not monetized, so they can slap a copyright claim on me all they want. It doesn't hurt me any. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to play the whole thing. And I forgot to do share audio, so bear with me a moment. I don't know why the StreamYard does that. It's so annoying because you would think that they would automatically have it set to where it shares the audio, and then if you want to have the option to turn it off, then you can do so, but that's just me. All right, so let me stop sharing here. Hey, Television Ice. I'm 33 in chat. How Masonic of me. Don't say it, Swamp Lover. Hey, Christy. Okay. So before I even start it, I just want to point something out. Here we go with the symbolism again. Immediately, I noticed that this emblem for the Teton County coroner's office or police department. I don't know, police department. I don't know if there's like state emblem or something. I did not look it up. Doesn't really matter. All that matters is that when I look at it, I see a star inside, pretty much fully in a circle, which would be a pentagram. And if you are not familiar with this occult symbolism that they like to use pentagrams because the star adds up to 666 with all of the points. So again, right behind this guy's head, right, hidden in plain sight, actually not so hidden in plain sight, right in front of our faces, and just some more straight up mockery, in my opinion. So I just wanted to point that out before we get started. Another thing I want to point out is this guy's name. Am I going to remember it? Something Blue, first name. I think it's like Brent Blue. With these occultists, they love their obviously symbolism, but they also love their colors and color combinations and their duality of things. So, for instance, the double moons in that photograph of Gabby Petito with the angel wings, and there's one moon on one side, one moon on the other, representing the duality. But not only that, if you go look up Baphomet, the mythological creature that occultists worship, you can also see that Baphomet has two moons on each side of itself, whatever it is. So again, it's the symbolism hidden in plain sight, and the majority of people have no idea that it's there or what's going on, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this, because um, I just want to point all this stuff out and really expose these hoaxes for what they really are. Of course, and also try to do it respectfully, but it is difficult. And swamp liver, not funny. It's not Baphomet. You think you're hilarious, but you're not. All right. All right. Swamp Lover says I'm muted. I don't know why the video volume is not working, so let me try it again. I apologize for the technical difficulties once again. Give me one sec, you guys. All right, let me try one more thing. If not, I'll just have to use my microphone sound, which is kind of annoying. Okay.
Should I start over then? Thank you for joining us. Sorry about the audio issue. I'm Dr.
Coroner. After a detailed investigation by our forensic pathologist, our anthropologist, and local law enforcement, with assistance from the FBI, the Teton County Coroner's Office is following the following verdict. In the manner of death of Gabrielle Nora Petito, we find the cause and manner to be death by strangulation, and manner is homicide. By Wyoming state statute, only the cause and manner of death are released. Their autopsy findings and photographs and that sort of material is not released by state statute. And I'll entertain some questions at this time.
Hi, Brian. This is Alex with the News and Guide.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I'm curious whether you're able to pinpoint a date of death and when, and if you know whether one Gabby's remains would be returned to her family. The remains have been returned to the mortuary here. The mortuary is dealing with the family at this time as far as the disposition of the remains. As far as the time of death, we are estimating 3 to 4 weeks from the time that
the body was found. That is actually determined by law enforcement folks than our office.
Chris, Vivian, you are able to ask your question.
What's the question? I didn't hear a question.
Chris, I believe that you are muted. If you can unmute yourself.
Okay, it's John Walsh from In Pursuit with John Walsh on Discovery ID. Dr. Blue, thank you for your time. I think everybody in the world believes that.
Okay, so I apologize for the low volume. Just try to bear with me if you can. I don't want to stop the video and restart it again because I know that gets super annoying. This is why I don't use StreamYard. I should have used OBS, but nobody's fault but my own. But again, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do panel after this or not, so that's why I went ahead and did StreamYard. So I wanted to mention his last name. Again, I know I brought it up a little bit ago, but yes, they love their colors, but also I find it interesting that his last name is Blue. What happens when a body or somebody dies? Their body turns blue. I thought of this simply because, and that's the kind of just, again, mockery that they really like to throw in our faces and just throw that sort of, symbolism in there, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. But if you take a look at the coroner or the pathologist from that event that happened in 2012, that tragic event that shall not be mentioned on this platform, you know what I'm talking about, right? The Mandy Book event. The coroner's name was Dr. Carver. And what do pathologists and coroners do during an autopsy report? They take a knife, and sorry to be, gruesome, but they essentially take a carving knife or scalpel and cut open the bodies. And again, that's just the straight up mockery that they like to throw in our face. Just an observation, might not be anything, but I just wanted to point that out. And I love how John Walsh comes on here and says, "Hey, I'm John Walsh from whatever show he's on, Top 10 Most Wanted," just to really pitch his show out there, right? So now he's getting publicity for his show. So let's continue.
Brian Laundrie killed Gabby. With your extensive work on the body, are you sure that it's Brian Laundrie? And will the FBI issue a nationwide homicide warrant now that they know the cause of death?
We are only tasked with the determination of cause and manner of death. Who committed the homicide is up to law enforcement, and I cannot answer the question about the FBI. You would have to contact them.
Jeremy Kopis, you are now allowed to ask your question.
Yes, hello, doctor. If you could, please, can you comment on any other bruising, maybe on the body that possibly was healing, possibly older bruises or cuts that might have been healing over the last couple of weeks before her passing?
By Wyoming state statute, no other information about the autopsy is released, just the cause of death.
Hi there, this is Heather Lee, a reporter at ABC Action News in Tampa, Florida. I just wanted to know if you could explain why it took about a month for this process to finish. I think a lot of people were hoping that they would learn this information sooner. So I just think if you could just explain the process and why it took a month.
Well, the main reason was that we were very exacting in our examination and the detail by which that examination was done. We were waiting for various specialists to come in and help us with this investigation. We were waiting on toxicology to be returned, and it was just a matter of making sure we had everything right.
Thank you.
Is there another question?
Brian Enton. I believe you're unmuted right now. Okay. Steve Fabian.
Yes, hi, doctor. How are you? I am curious if any DNA samples were taken from Gabby's remains, and also if the body was intact. Are you able to tell us the condition of Gabby's remains?
I can tell you the DNA samples were taken by law enforcement, and all I can tell you about remains is that the body was outside for 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, so I find this interesting that he mentions this about the body being out there for 3 to 4 weeks before they found her. I was in Melissa Jade's chat and a live stream one day, and Swamp Lover brought up a great point. He said that the any wildlife would have, you know, ended up getting to Gabby's body before they had found her within that period of time, especially for the fact that, as far as we know, she wasn't like buried 6 feet under to where it would make it difficult for any wildlife to get a hold of her. Again, I apologize for the graphic nature of it, but we're here to speak the truth and we're not here to sugarcoat anything. So I think that's a great point that Swamp Lover made, how and the fact that the coroner, doesn't he totally deflects from it and it's like, oh, I can't give you any information on it. Why can't you give any information on it? Why is it difficult? Why do you even do these conferences, these press conferences, if why not just release it to the public that Gabby's body was ruled a strangulation, and then that's it? In my opinion, they're doing these press conferences without answering any questions because it still pulls people in. It's a huge distraction. That's what they want. Look over here, not over there, at what's really going on or what's really important. And it's just really like grabbing everybody's attention over this one case, this one woman, when there's so many, and I know I sound repetitive, but there's so many women and children and people that go missing all the time, every single day. So why is it, again, that only certain cases get so much mainstream media attention? And at this point with this case, it's getting a ridiculous amount of attention for just simply one person. Why is one death any more important or worth any more of anybody's time over anybody else's death or being missing? So yes, great point, Swamp Lover. I agree. I think that they don't mention that, or that he's deflecting from it as far as wildlife getting to her before law enforcement did, of course, based off the official narrative. Okay, let's continue.
Chris Vivian, do you have your hand up?
Was that a question? I didn't hear the question there.
Question.
Dr. Blue,
Yes.
it's John Walsh again from In Pursuit with John Walsh. You will probably be the most important witness at the trial. And I asked you before how confident you feel that Brian Laundrie, and they use the semantics, he was a person of interest.
So here we have John Walsh again that pops in and says that he's the coroner, Dr. Blue, Dr. Blue, is going to be very important when it comes to trial. How does John Walsh know that there's even going to be a trial? He's just assuming? They haven't even found, again, based off the official narrative, everyone's out searching for Brian and no one's been able to find him. It's actually quite humorous in my, I was gonna say in my opinion, but I should probably stop saying that so much because I think you guys know that already. But to me, it's very humorous that the whole entire world, the whole FBI is out looking for this one guy. And even John Walsh knows that there you have all these most wanted criminals, and you don't see the whole entire FBI or mainstream media out searching for these psychopathic killers and rapists. But they're out searching for this, 20, however old he is, 23-year-old scrawny little kid, Brian Laundrie, that's suspected of murder, not even convicted or like a runaway, but he's just suspected of murdering Gabby Petito. But so the fact that John Walsh is already saying that there's going to be a trial, how would John Walsh know that? I just find that odd that he would just automatically assume. How do we know that when they find Brian, based off the official narrative, that he's not going to just plead guilty or he's not going to take a plea deal like Chris Watts? That would be rather convenient, wouldn't it? Again, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up dying from COVID or something. It's just all about convenience with these cases, and it's convenient and not so coincidental as some might think.
Old school, he was the only suspect ever. And I just wonder, you're going to be the most important guy at the trial, probably. Do you have any doubts it's Brian Laundrie?
I can't make any comment about any suspects because we are not involved in that part of the investigation. We are only involved in the investigation of the body of the deceased. So who committed the homicide is really to be determined by law enforcement.
Right, but I thank you for your hard work. And I always say in so many cases I've been involved in, let the pathologist and the coroner do their work no matter how long it takes. So I think you've probably done a really good job on this case. Thank you for your time.
Hey there, doctor. This is Rochelle Aline with ABC Action News in Tampa. Just a quick question. Can you kind of walk us through the process to how you arrived at this specific manner of...
Sorry for stopping it again. Could be completely coincidental, but again, you have this woman on screen now, and she's wearing a blue shirt. With the Watts case, the color of that particular case, the color choice happened to be orange. With the Tristan Bailey case, I just saw Kristen in chat. With the Tristan Bailey case, you had the teal, all the teal ribbons. So again, these occultists and the ones that are orchestrating these events really like their colors and their color combinations. So again, it could just be coincidental. It's blue is a common color, but I'm already seeing a lot of blue pop up with Dr. Blue, and now this lady's wearing a blue shirt. So anyways, just wanted to point that out.
death?
In the state of Wyoming, there are 4 possibilities for the manner of death. They are homicide, suicide, accident, and natural. And those are the 4 choices. When we do an investigation, we look at the crime scene or the scene of the death, the scene of the body, the condition of the body, and findings at autopsy and toxicology. And that is how we arrive at the manner of death. So it really depends on lots of different circumstances.
Dr. Stephen Fabian again from Inside Edition. Can you tell us if the body was buried when it was discovered, or if the body was on the surface?
I can't tell you that. That's would be something you'd have to ask the FBI, because we're not allowed to release that information.
Kelly Vaughn. Do you have a question, Kelly Vaughn? We have Brian Enting in the chat who has a question. What's your question, Brian? Was there any impact on her body from weather or wild animals in the national park?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Was there any impact on her body from weather or wild animals in the national park?
That is a great question, Kristen Waters. I'm so glad that you brought that up and you asked that question, because I was just asking the same question a little bit ago. Finally, a question that makes sense, right? So let's listen to hear what Mr. Dr. Blue has to say about this.
All I can really comment about that is that her body was outside in the wilderness for 3 to 4 weeks.
KSL assignment?
So again, he already repeats what he said earlier, that her body was in the wilderness for 3 to 4 weeks. Doesn't answer the question, totally deflects, and all I can say is that her body was there. You already said that, Dr. Blue. You know, tell us something that we want to hear. Tell us something that we don't already know. What are we doing here? You know, these people, these reporters, whoever they are asking these questions, knowing that the guy already said that he can't answer any questions. So what the hell are we doing here? Why do they do these press conferences? Can somebody please answer that question for me? Why do law enforcement and these coroners do these press conferences when all they have to say is tell the news, hey, we ruled it a suicide. I mean, not a suicide. I'm sorry. We ruled it a strangulation. It's a homicide, right? That would be simple. Why get all this? Why do all this? Why do this whole fancy Zoom call or whatever it is, and to just pretty much not answer any questions? And they're asking all the wrong questions, because he already said, I can't answer any questions about the body except for the fact that it was we ruled it strangulation. And I find it again really convenient as well that Gabby was strangulated, is that a word? It is now. Was strangled, and just like Shanann, you have no blood, no blood samples to take, no messy crime scene. No, they don't have to look for a murder weapon. That was all, and I brought that up before in one of my live streams. I think a couple of times for the Chris Watts case, is that it makes it, they don't have to go, they're going to pick a narrative to where it's not going to be too complicated, even though this is crazy and there's a lot to it. But when you have all the mainstream media, and then you have YouTube creators that are coming up with all these theories and just totally spewing out disinformation, in my opinion, maybe some misinformation, but definitely disinformation, it definitely does not help with the confusion and the circus aspect of it. But with these events, although like the majority of the time they are planned like very far in advance, sometimes many years, depending on the event and how big it is, even though they are planned in advance, they're going to keep it as simple as possible, because they don't have to go through all that trouble in order to convince the majority of people or the public that the event really happened. So all they have to do is say, hey, tell the mainstream media. That's the big part of the mainstream media. They have all these huge media outlets that get all this information out to as many people as possible. So when you have that in your favor, it really helps the ones that are orchestrating these events. So all they have to do is just tell the information to the media, and there goes their, pushes out the narrative. So they say, hey, we found Gabby Petito's body in the woods. We found it where there's hardly any people, right? Hardly anyone's going to probably come across it or see anything, or some actual real witness to finding her body, right? Like in actual real life, in a real life scenario where sometimes people do in homicide cases or murder cases find victims' bodies. All they have to do is tell the mainstream media that they found her body in the wilderness. If you'll notice that a lot of these, or a few of these true crime cases, like the Suzanne Morphew case, they lived out in the middle of nowhere. Summer Wells lived out in the middle of nowhere. Chris Watts took the bodies to the middle of nowhere. So you don't risk having actual real life, it sounds funny, like actual witnesses to come forward and mess up the whole narrative, because that would totally mess up the whole storyline, right? Now, in some cases with like false flags, where you have a like take for instance the Las Vegas shooting, you're going to have the mixture of your crisis actors. You're going to have a mixture of the victims that I talked about, that the Pink Dahlia Jenny brought up and asked me about when she came on panel, is that is there different type of victims? Yes, there's different type of victims per se. So you have, your willing, knowing and willing, your unknowing, unwilling. And so sometimes there's going to be actual witnesses or people that are involved in these events that aren't going to know that they're participating in it, that they just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I've noticed with these true crime cases, like I said, they are making it so they're in the middle of nowhere, so that, or you have neighbors like Nate and a sweet old Betty. I love sweet Betty, she's sweet, but unfortunately I think she was definitely one of those knowing and willing victims, if you want to call them victims. She was fully participating in it, in my opinion. So when you have two neighbors on each side of the Watts house who are fully in full participation of the event and the narrative, it helps so that you don't have actual real life neighbors that would actually see Chris Watts supposedly bringing out bodies or any type of witness like that. It's so very convenient in these cases. I hope that makes sense.
You are unmuted. KSL assignment.
Hello, Dan Rascone here from KSL TV in Salt Lake. Dr. Blue, can you tell us at all whether or not, was it believed that she was murdered there at that location, or is it any indication that her body was drugged there or taken there, or can you give us any indication there?
I can't comment on that. That would be something you'd have to speak with the law enforcement or the FBI.
Matthew.
Would answer maybe some of our questions, because again, what are we doing here? All they're doing is just leaving us with more unanswered questions than we had yesterday. It just confuses people. Okay, so now they're saying that she was strangled, but they can't give us any details. So again, what is the whole point of this charade? I really don't. Again, I'm being rhetorical because I'm not going to try to sway anyone's opinions, but I'm just asking questions, and these are the questions that people, I feel, should ask, because it's really important.
Bella? Matthew Stella, do you have a question?
Hey, Dr. Blue. It's actually Jimmy from dailymail.com in New York here. What were the results of the toxicology report? And is there any suggestion that Gabby had any drugs in her system? And if so, what were they?
The results of the toxicology are not public knowledge by why I can't comment about that.
Thank you.
We have a question from the chat. Was Gabby Petito pregnant?
She was not pregnant.
Okay, so I missed this earlier, but I believe it was Sandy Beach that brought this up in the beginning of the stream. That she found it interesting that he can't answer any other questions, like if wildlife got to her or the toxicology or whatever. I can't answer any of that. I can only say that she was strangled, but I can answer for you that she was indeed not pregnant. I mean, isn't that in violation of the Teton County coroner's office or investigative unit or whatever he said earlier about how the law permits him from speaking on anything besides the matter of death. So yeah, definitely a great point.
Thomas Taupe.
Hi, Doctor. My question, did you seek the advice of a forensic entomologist or a forensic botanist during the course of your investigation?
The FBI has sent materials to a forensic entomologist.
WPB X25 News.
Hi, Doctor. This is Terry Parker from WPBF in Palm Beach County, Florida. I'm wondering if you said you were very thorough in this autopsy and examination. Could you give us an example of the type of test and analysis you performed?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mute myself. There's probably an echo. So I want to say one more thing with the Watts case. I didn't make a video on it. Maybe I will still, but it's kind of probably a little too late. But I did notice with the Watts case, there was an excessive amount of, again, and with these cases, you guys look for repeated patterns of words. They love their words, not just their symbolism, but their words, like in their names. So the name Lee, all the Lees in the case, in the Watts case. And if you've seen my videos or watched my live streams, you'll know that the name Lee has several Chinese variations. You have L-I, L-E-E, and L-I-E. And of course, L-I-E is also the English word for the word lie. Because that's what they like to do. They like to tell us and admit to us that these events are really fabrications. They're all a lie. They're hoaxes. They're not real. Because that's what they believe in karma. And then if we're too stupid to realize it and to see all these sometimes obvious and not so obvious clues and all the predictive programming like American Horror Story, if we're too stupid to realize it, then that's our own fault. Even though they're putting all this symbolism and all these numbers and all these patterns in plain sight right in front of our faces, if we're too stupid to realize it, then that's our own fault. And they no longer have any bad karma on their hands, no matter how it's a messed up way of looking at it, because the majority of people, how would you know unless you're not going to know unless you know what to look for. And when you do know, it's so very obvious and so, again, just right in our faces and straight up mockery. But with the Watts case, I noticed that there was an excessive amount of the word park being used. You have Nicole Kessinger, who gave her first interview at a park. What kind of police department gives a potential witness or even suspect or possible witness or suspect an interview in the park? Like, how completely unprofessional is that? Not only was it at a park, but you have her dad there, you have her dog barking, he's getting upset, he wants to go play with the frisbee, whatever, Duke, her dog. And it sounds like the tape recorders in one of the FBI agents' pocket. It's just so very cheesy B movie to me. I just picture it in their trench coats and just recording them anonymously or secretly, and it's just very, very ridiculous in my opinion. So you have Nicole Kessinger's first interview in the park. You have Nick and Amanda Thayer giving an interview at a park. I mean, they literally just found out that their good friend, Shanann Watts, was murdered by their other good friend based off the official narrative, and their 2 young children, and also their unborn baby. But the Thayers decide that they want to give a news interview the day that they find out, in a park of all places, a public park, where it's loud, it's busy. And so you have these interviews in the Watts case where they literally, I mean, it's so distracting. I don't know how you would, if it really was a real case and it went to trial, how in the world, if I was on that jury and I had to listen to that Nicole Kessinger interview in the park, and how completely just downgraded and just absolutely like terrible sound quality, I would say get the fuck out of here with that. Like, what do you want me to do with that? I can't even understand what anybody's saying. It sounds like the tape recorder, like I said, is in someone's pocket. The dog's whining. There's all these, like, it's just so unrealistic, you guys. And but the majority of people will never question that. And people should. So my point is, not to get off track, but there's several other references to parks in the Watts case. And so and then you have I almost said it. You have E. Parker from from the little girl that allegedly died in 2012, from that event that I mentioned earlier that shall not be named, the Mandy Book event. Her last name was Parker. Then you have this woman on the screen on the screen. Her last name is Parker, and I'm just seeing it. Great Sand Dunes National Park, where Chris and Nicole Kessinger went. Now you have Zion National Park and all these parks. And again, I get it, right? So if somebody comes into my stream and goes, "What is this woman talking about?" Parks are very common. They're all over the place. You park your car. You park in your, playground parks, whatever. But when they start popping up, and especially in these cases, where they do get so much high profile mainstream media attention, and they're showing all those red flags that I've been telling you guys about for 3 years now, going on 3 years now, that you need to look out for those same characteristics that they use, and those same red flags. And especially if they do have so many inconsistencies in this case, look out for this symbolism. And if you feel it in your gut, if you feel like something's not right about these cases, then you're probably right. And I would suggest, in my opinion, to take a step back, try to push your emotions aside, because I know especially, and that's why they make these cases so tragic with these true crime cases, with these shootings, with these terrorist attacks. They make them so tragic because when people are emotional, they don't think logically. All logic goes out the window. Gone, right? And they know that, and they use fear and emotion to sway opinions from the majority of the public. So if you feel like there's something not right, or there's more questions than answers, try to push your emotions aside. I know it's difficult. Try to push them aside and take a step back and look at everything from a different perspective and say, what's really going on here? What's happening with all this? Why is nothing making sense? Why is there so much coverage of this case, but there's so many unanswered questions? Just like the Watts case. You have all that information that was released, the discovery, all the body cam footage, yet, over 3 years later, there's still channel creators that are delving through that discovery, trying to, go through it with a fine-tooth comb and try to really figure out what happened. And they're just not getting anywhere with it. It wasn't meant to be solved. They're going to leave us with more unanswered questions on purpose. And there's no reason why there should be so many unanswered questions, because there was so much information released. So how does that make sense? But anyway, I got off track there. I just wanted to point out the whole Parker thing. So again, it doesn't have to be parks, but just look out for that repeated pattern of words, names, numbers, symbolism.
This autopsy included a whole body, examination by a forensic pathologist, an examination by a forensic anthropologist, and toxicology evaluation. So we pretty much covered all the bases.
Well, I would hope that you would cover more than all the bases because, again, I'm not a pathologist, I'm not a coroner, but as far as I know and the research that I've done, when it's a homicide case, a pathologist or a coroner must perform a full, complete autopsy on a victim. It doesn't matter if the murderer confesses. It doesn't matter if the case is closed. If it's a homicide, they must perform a full, complete autopsy and examination, not just covering the bases. You're talking about all of it, and maybe it's different from state to state. But again, from my research and what I've done, homicide cases and homicide victims must always have a complete autopsy done on them. That means the whole Y incision, all the toxicology, all the x-rays. Sorry for the graphic nature of this, but the draining of all the fluids and you know, dental impression, whatever. The whole entire thing must be done with the homicide case. So the fact that he's like, oh, all the basics were covered. Yeah, say, okay, Dr. Blue. I mean, please.
Jeremy Kopis.
Yes, doctor, thank you for taking the question again. You mentioned that strangulation is the cause of death. Can you talk about how you came to that conclusion?
I cannot. That is part of the autopsy findings and is not discoverable by Wyoming statute.
Was there any other cause of death that was a possibility in this case?
Well, we look at all causes, all possibilities when we try to determine cause of death. But this is the cause of death that we determined.
I have a question from chat. It is, was the manner of death obvious? Strangulation marks, bones, injured neck.
Nothing is obvious in a situation like this. So detailed analysis was used both to determine manner and cause of death. I can't go into details on how we made those decisions.
Kristen Thorne.
Yes, hi, Dr. Kristen Thorne with WABC in New York. Could you just please repeat about how long you believe the body was out there? Unfortunately, the last time you spoke, we just didn't get a good film shot of you saying that. Would you mind repeating that?
Our initial determination is the body was in the wilderness for 3 to 4 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks.
To ask this coroner, Dr. Blue, any questions you want about the case and her homicide or her autopsy. And now we've already had him answering the same question 3 times now, that her body was in the wilderness for 3 to 4 weeks. But he couldn't get any other information as far as that goes either. Why? I mean, are they not listening to this while it's going on? Why are they asking the same questions over and over again? It's such a complete and utter waste of time. And all it again is doing is just distracting the masses from whatever, from what's really going on. For whatever reason they want to distract, that's what is going on here. It's pointless and there's no reason for it whatsoever. But I guarantee you that the majority of people, just like a lot of the people in true crime, were glued to their televisions to hear this man tell us nothing. Okay? Literally nothing, besides that she was strangled. You could send out a tweet for that. Why do all this?
Thank you.
Jorge Fitzgibbon. You have to unmute. I believe you're still muted.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, Dr. Blue. Relating back to the date of death, is there a date listed on the death certificate?
The death certificate has not been completed at this time, and the death certificates of the state of Wyoming allow for approximate dates and variability in those dates. So I doubt, well, there will not be an exact date of death on the death certificate.
Interesting. Go figure. What are the odds that in the Watts case with Shanann and the girls, we never got a time of death? They were only in those tanks for a couple days based off the official narrative, and Shanann was only underground and deceased for a couple days as well. Why is it that they can't give us that kind of information in these cases? Why is there no time of death? So again, it's just so rather convenient that again we're seeing that he's already confirming that there's going to be no time of death on that death certificate. Why can't they? I mean, don't we have professionals for a reason in these areas? I mean, you can, as far as I know, there's bodies that are found 20 years later, and they can try to track it back, and maybe not a specific time of death, but at least the day or the week. But this coroner is already claiming that there's already going to be no time of death. And isn't that giving more information about the autopsy that he already said that he couldn't give, and he could only give how she died? And then he says, "Oh no, she wasn't pregnant." I mean, so that he's cherry picking what he can say after he already said at the beginning that he can't give any other information besides the fact or besides how she died or the cause of death, right? So he's going back and forth and contradicting himself, and definitely cherry picking the answers that he wants to provide.
12.
Hi, Doctor. This is Eileen Palmer from News 12. We sort of asked it a little bit, but is there a way that you can explain how you know that it was strangulation? Sometimes I know that the hyoid bone could be missing. Is that something that you discovered in this case?
I can't comment on that because it would be a finding of the autopsy. And as I stated before, in the state of Wyoming, the autopsy results are not public knowledge.
That's funny, Dr. Blue, because I just mentioned how you told us that she was not pregnant. That's a part of the autopsy findings. That's one of the things you look for when you're a coroner or pathologist. You look to see if the woman that was killed was pregnant. And so you already went against the law of Wyoming, or the laws, and released information that you claimed you are not allowed by law to release. So it's just, how does any of this make sense? It just doesn't make any sense. Again, total contradiction at its finest. And it's like, sometimes I just wonder, it's like, do they even like listen to what they're saying sometimes? It just blows my mind all the time. And, now he's saying, oh, I can't release that information about the hyoid bone because it's, part of that law that they can't release the information besides the manner of death. Again, here we go.
So then you can't clarify whether it was manual strangulation or with an item, correct?
That's correct.
Michael Ruiz.
Thanks for making time for us, Doctor. Was the entire examination conducted at your lab in Jackson, or was Gabby Petito's body shipped to another facility?
The examination was done entirely at our board in Teton County, Wyoming.
Anna Gregorio.
Gregorio. It's actually Ashley Banfield with News Nation. Doctor, thank you for taking the time today. Can I ask you if from the very beginning of your process, was it obvious that the cause, not the manner, that the cause was strangulation and that you just needed this time to prove it out? Or were you completely unaware from the beginning what the cause of death was for Gabby Petito and had to resolve through a number of puzzle solving manners and other experts to arrive at that final cause determination?
In a situation like this, nothing is obvious. And so the cause of death required investigation.
We have a William Walkie.
Hey there, Dr. Blue. My name is Will. I'm from KHOL Jacksonville Community Radio here in Jackson. You're a small town coroner here in Western Wyoming. This case got so much national attention, as we can see right now. Can you speak on what it was like doing your job with such a big spotlight on you? Thanks.
Well, it was quite the media circus, and continues to be. Unfortunately,
Probably one of the most accurate things he said this entire news conference. It's a complete circus. Not just a media circus, but a complete outright circus.
This is only one of many deaths around the country of people who are involved in domestic violence. And it's unfortunate that these other deaths did not get as.
Sorry, why are they already, maybe I missed this. Again, I haven't watched a lot of the live streams because it's been such a circus, but why are they already assuming that the homicide was due to domestic violence? And they don't even know if it was him that did it. It's like, I don't understand the domestic violence thing. I'm starting to get the feeling that there's going to be some sort of domestic violence law that they're going to try to pass. Because again, with these events, you guys, I say all the time that look out on those petition.orgs. If you're seeing, the victim's family members, sometimes the day of or just days after, that are already pushing for some sort of law to be passed or some sort of right to be taken away, like, for instance, gun control, then that's a huge red flag, especially when there's still an ongoing investigation. Just like I mentioned in a couple live streams ago about, which I still need to find for you guys, I will, when I cover Watts again, I probably will do that. But Nicole Atkinson started a petition on petition.org only 5 days after the alleged murders happened in the Watts case, already pushing that Chris Watts be charged with another, be charged for the death of Nico, get another account for Nico's death. So, he had barely just confessed to killing Shanann. I don't even think he had confessed to killing the girls yet, based off the official narrative, of course. I had to keep saying that. So, again, you're talking 5 days after. There's still an ongoing investigation, and you have Nicole Atkinson and Nicholas Atkinson and these petitions online already trying to get a law passed for Nico's death. Why so soon afterwards when the guy wasn't even convicted yet? Or again, with these pew 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 events, when they're already pushing gun control the day of or the days just afterwards. So any laws being passed or rights trying to be taken away, definitely a red flag to look out for with these cases and these events, because again, there's always multiple agendas involved for doing them.
Much coverage as this one. I'm assuming that because the deceased was a blogger, that this received more coverage than others, but there are a lot of both men and women who have lost their lives that aren't covered with this kind of media attention.
Sorry, it's almost over. Another thing I agree with Dr. Blue about. What do you know? Yes, as I mentioned earlier, there's so many people who lose their lives and go missing. Why is it there's only some cases that seem to get so much attention? And he mentions the fact that she's on social media. And I agree with that as well. That could be a reason as to why. But why do you think that Shanann Watts was also on social media and in the limelight as far as that goes? Why do you think that Alexis Sharkey was also a blogger it really helps to push that narrative of these orchestrated events when they are in the limelight, where people can go and and their Facebook accounts and their YouTube accounts are still left open, even though it's an ongoing investigation. So, all of us in the true crime community, or anybody who wants to, can go and look up any information on these people that are bloggers and YouTube creators. And, especially with Shanann, because what people did is they went and watched all her videos, selling Thrive and seeing her and the girls. And what it did is really pulled people in, pulled at heartstrings, and really causes people to get all that emotion going, which again, as I mentioned, all logic goes out the window when people are emotional. And so many times I've heard people say, I feel like I knew Shanann and the girls. I feel like, even though I never met them, I feel like they're part of my family, when really they're not at all. But that's how these psychological operations work. They do that, and that's why Shanann's Facebook account is still open as well, in my opinion, because it really, really does pull people in, and it draws people in. It pulls at heartstrings, as I mentioned. So, how convenient that a lot of these true crime cases, these women that are going missing or being murdered, are part of social media.
Yes, hello, this is Francis DiFiore from the Port Charlotte Sun. I just want to go back to my previous question, although I imagine your response. Is there anything you can tell us about how exactly you determined it was a 3 to 4 week period before death?
I can't go into that kind of information at this time.
I understand. Thank you very much.
Why don't we take one more question then?
We have the Snack Squad.
Hey, this is Andy Mercado from Mercado Media. Could you go over the length of time the autopsy report took? And thank you for your time, Dr. Blue.
Well, the length of time was involved in the sense that we received a report from the investigating and examining forensic pathologist. We had a report done by our anthropologist, and we had toxicology studies that were done in addition to the report from the radiologic studies. So all these came together, and that's what took time for us to complete this investigation.
Okay, there's only about a minute left. I apologize again. But I don't know why I didn't notice this before, but I mentioned in the beginning the fact that his name is Dr. Blue. The woman that was asking the question with her profile pic on the screen was wearing a blue shirt. Dr. Blue is even wearing a blue tie. The emblem behind him is also, the star is blue. It's even a blue background. So again, I'm feeling like this is going to be the theme for this case. As I mentioned earlier, just like the color theme for the Watts case was orange, because these people, again, love their colors, their symbolism, their numbers, their names. They love, 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 love it. So again, in order to spot these events, and I do hope that the symbolism and all this stuff will be their downfall, these symbolism hidden in plain sight. Look out for repeated patterns, you guys, because again, they literally put it right in front of our faces, and the majority of people have no idea. It's absolute, without a doubt, straight up mockery.
Hi, doctor. Could you speak to the state of decomposition, and did that at all hinder your investigation?
No, I can't comment on that.
Dr. Blue, would you like to take any more questions?
Unless there's other specific questions that haven't been answered already, why don't we close this? And thank you all very much for your participation. And I can tell you that I will not be answering any other detailed questions about the autopsy. As I said, state statute prevents us from doing that. So contacting me by email and phone is not going to reveal any additional information. But thank you for your time, and I appreciate your interest.
Dr. Blue, I have one more question. Is there a way to determine if this was accidental or deliberate?
Well, wait, did you guys see the comments on here? Let me scroll back here. What in the world? From Brian Enting to everyone, I'm gonna sue you, you effing CUNT. I just noticed that. Oh, that's funny. That's not funny, but I just can't believe that somebody would say that on this, whatever call it is. Is it Zoom? I don't even know what it is. Wow. Interesting. Jennifer Richardson to everyone. Thanks to everyone for wasting time asking dumb questions. You know he can't answer. Thank you, Jennifer. That's what I've been saying this whole time. You know he can't answer them, so why again are we here? Why even ask the questions? Might as well just ask him what his favorite food is. At least we get a little bit, get to know the guy at least a little bit better, Mr. Dr. Blue over here. At least we would learn something instead of saying, oh, I can't answer those questions, but I can tell you she's pregnant. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, I don't know why I played it again because that was the end of the stream anyways. That was the last question. He couldn't answer it. He couldn't give us any answers as far as because it's state statute. So let me get this guy off the screen now. Okay, so again, I know that a lot of other channel creators covered this, but I wanted to go into obviously the color combinations, the symbolism that's right behind him, his contradicting himself, the waste of time. Again, what are we doing here? And so we'll definitely do open panel next time for sure. That I do promise that. Because I would like to do that again. I think it went really well with Jenny up on panel last time. So, but I definitely want to cover this because again, it's important. It just really shows the inconsistencies of everything and just how we're left with more unanswered questions than before. Hey, Missy. The doctor's first name is Brent, I believe. Hey, I'm a cliche. Was he chosen for his name? He changed it for the occasion, inquiring minds want to know your wisdom. That's a great question. I don't know how they find these people. It's, more than likely that Chris Watts and Shanann Watts and Nicole Kessinger is probably not the real names. I don't know. They could very well be their real names. But it is amazing how they're able to get all of this and just so much there was so much with the Watts case and just in the discovery alone with all of that they put, just all the I'm not going to get into that again, but I don't want to give them any try to give them any credit, but it's really is amazing how they incorporate all these names and the symbolism and the, you know, street names, locations, and just everything like that. It is quite brilliant in my opinion. But again, these are the world's a stage, you guys, and a lot of these events, believe it or not, I mean, they're planned way in advance, and they're being used to deceive and sway opinions of the public, um, and push agendas. And again, that's why I'm here. It's so important to really wake people up. And if I only wake a couple people up, then it was worth it to me, because these events are not going to stop. They're not going to slow down. There's nothing we can do about them. As I mentioned before several times, especially recently, that Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012 made it legal for the mainstream media and the U.S. government to legally, I already said that legally, they made it legal to push propaganda and lie to the public. So it could be literally any news event that you can think of. So it could be about a three-headed turtle that appeared in Iowa, right? That was found in Iowa. It could be completely fake, not even real. They could fabricate that all the way up to a, you know, a familicide case like the Watts case, all the way up to, you know, 9/11. They can legally orchestrate and make up and fabricate these news stories, and we don't have any say in it. There's no repercussions for the ones that are doing it. They're being also funded by the public, which should infuriate anybody even more. And it can't lead back to the ones who are perpetrating these events whatsoever. So that being said, again, they're not going to slow down. So the more people that are awake, hopefully, you know, the less or the harder it will be for them to pull these events off and to pass these laws and push these agendas onto us. Because if the more people that are awake, the better. So, you know, myself and many other creators have been trying to do it, but the YouTube censorship is just so bad that it makes it so difficult to wake people up, especially when you're limited to what you can talk about. I don't know. I'm a cliche. I'm not an expert on border wall holograms and if Donald Trump is an AI android. I don't know. That's not my area of forte. Maybe there'll be a different channel that could answer that question for you. So I guess the only way to know that would to go to the border wall and find out for yourself. I don't know if you are trying to be a smartass or not, but I find it humorous. I don't mind answering any questions to the best of my knowledge. Hey, Mosi. Hey, Chris. All right, so that being said, I'm going to end this now. Thank you everyone again for being here. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for, you know, having open minds. You guys are all fantastic. Thank you to my moderators. I really, really do appreciate everything you guys do. And I, you know, again, I don't mean to be so like so cheesy or whatever, but please, it's so important to think for yourselves, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, even if people point fingers and say you're a conspiracy theorist. I'd rather be a conspiracy theorist and know that I can think logically and think for myself. So Things can be so deceiving, especially these days, you know, with holograms and everything. And just all the technology. So again, please ask questions and think for yourselves. So again, thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.